attention of a governor to realize that that facility is unsafe, unstable, and unsustainable. It is incredibly important that we take this opportunity and maximize it by ensuring that the rest of the state, my colleagues down in Madison, are aware of the severity of the situations at GBCI. The Green Bay Correctional Institute, only 5% of that building is not in need of repair. We have to make a next step, a future that is different than that building. And with the governor's announcement this weekend and today, we are confident that there is going to be a path forward. Now, I must say this, it is to be determined yet if his exact proposal will be the one that we will be returning to him through the budget process. But I don't think that that in any way diminishes from the fact that we finally have 132 legislators down in Madison who are talking about the closure of GBCI and the next new future for that space here in Akron. Provided myself and a few other legislators with a private 90-minute briefing exactly what the plan was, how it would work, and provide this opportunity to become reality. So I can tell you this, what was presented is promising. It is a realistic forward. However, there are going to be some challenges because there were some criminal justice prison reform provisions that are included in that, and that'll be one of the sticking points that I'll have to work through and with my colleagues down in Madison as well as with the governor. I am confident that as long as we put politics aside, we look at the safety of the public, the safety of the staff, the safety of the inmates, as well as the realization that that facility is beyond its lifespan. I am confident we'll be able to find a new way forward for corrections as well as for that space here in Alloway. So we will each be available for one-on-ones beyond that, but I also want to be transitioning this to each of my my colleagues and partners here. So I'm going to start next with Village President Jim Rafter, who has been with me on this journey for now 8 years, trying to bring attention to this issue. I want to make something clear is that this wasn't something that was done in a vacuum. We had 2 independent architectural and engineering reports done under 2 administrations that are supporting this closure and deeming it necessary. We simply can't be housing 1,000 men in a facility that is unsafe. And that's the reality of today. So the time is now, even though it may take 6 years or longer for this to actually become a reality. And so recognizing the importance today is incredibly important. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Village President Jim Rafter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Rafter, Village of Alloway. I want to thank Representative Stephan for all of his words and all of his hard work over the last 8 years. I've talked to a lot of you about this, but over the last 8 years, we have been working with people on both sides of the aisle, people who are interested in fiscal responsibility, people who are interested in social justice, people who are interested in a lot of things. And the governor's comments this weekend, when he came out and acknowledged that GBCI needs to be closed, we've proven something. We've proven that Democrats and Republicans can't agree on something. And that's what I celebrate today. I celebrate the fact that 8 years ago we didn't have a whole lot of people in the state of Wisconsin knowing what GBCI was, why it should be closed or why it shouldn't be closed. But today everyone in the state of Wisconsin should know that Green Bay Correctional needs to close for a myriad of reasons. We have all kinds of winners when that happens, and we have very few, if any, losers. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I know it's politics, but I have faith that the people that we elect to go down to Madison and represent us, first of all, I've met a lot of them, I know a lot of them, they're smart people, and they care about our state. And I believe that this could be a big one for politics in Wisconsin, where Democrats and Republicans alike come together for the right thing and to do the right thing. So with that, I'd like to transition it to our new representative for the 88th District, Representative Ben Franklin.
Thank you, Representative Stuffin, and my good friend Jim Rafter. It's been good getting to know you. It's been an honor so far being a representative for the people of the 88th Assembly District and for the people of Alloway within that district. As has been already eloquently communicated, this is a monumental moment. The governor of Wisconsin has acknowledged the closure of GBCI, the need to do that. For nearly a decade, I guess it's been 8 years technically, local and state officials, they've been advocating for the closure of GBCI. As already related, there have been 2 separate engineering firms that have done studies on this. I'm not an engineer. However, those people that are professionals in that realm, if they're saying that it is dangerous and unsafe, I think it is wise to listen to their expertise. I'm glad to see early on in my administration, or sorry, not administration, early on, shortly after inauguration, I met with Governor Evers. It was in the first couple weeks, and one of the topics that came up was specifically for Green Bay Correctional Institute. And we both agreed in that meeting that something needed to be done with GBCI. It wasn't clear at that point what exactly, how exactly that would look. So with this announcement, it's a monumental thing, again, for the people of Wisconsin, the people of the 88th Assembly District, and the people of Alloway. And I look forward to working with local and state officials on a way forward. I will say this as well. One of my big concerns with the transition is I have 2 brothers that are in law enforcement. One's an FBI agent. The other is a detective in the San Antonio Police Department. And I think that however the details of this shake out, it's important that we don't put the hard work that they're doing on the wayside with the criminal justice reform. And so that is something that I'll be looking at and being an active participant in how that looks.
You guys confident that this prison will indeed close by 2029? I know you said that you support the closure. There seems to be some agreement on that with the governor, but also some of the other facts, the requests have been made, you guys say you're not in agreement on. The governor said that every one of those steps have to be meeting because it is a domino effect to allow this prison to close. So how confident are you that you'll be able to close this prison and possibly not meet all those steps?
I am 100% confident that GBCI will be closed in the near future. If it's 2029, 2030, 2031, that's to be seen. But we now have multiple governors. Governor Walker committed privately and was planning on incorporating it in his budget if he had been reelected, and now Governor Evers, Democrat, saying he's going to close GBCI. When you have multiple governors, 2 different parties, a legislature saying that this has to be done, all based on fact, all based on data that are driving this. I'm confident it's going to happen. Now, here's, as you mentioned, the timelines are long. There's a lot of complexity involved with this plan. One of the challenges that's occurred over the last 8 years is the longer we've waited, the more expensive this has become, the more complicated the solutions have to be. And that isn't because of the efforts of the 3 of us. It's because of politics down in Madison. It has delayed and distorted this project. And so our path on getting from point A to point B is longer and not straight. But I'm 100% confident that GBCI will be closed.
Are you still wanting a new prison to be built? Are Republicans still pitching that idea, or is that off the table?
It is on the table. Is that part of the governor's plan? No, it is not. So there'll be continued negotiations. The important part of today is that there's agreement that it has to close. We can no longer be denying the science, the safety, the security challenges that exist there. I'm going to throw out another one for you. There is an incredible civil rights lawsuit liability opportunity that is existing with that facility remaining open. Other states have seen this, where inmates have filed different civil rights violation lawsuits, recouped millions of dollars per inmate to be compensated for being held in a place that isn't compliant with prison standards, violates ADA. And when you have engineering studies saying that it's not, it should be condemned, well, you know what? We have to heed that. So again, I think there should be nothing off the table except for GBCI shall be closed. That is the most important part we should be all gleaning from this, is that building will be closed. The timeline, the path, the cost, the location, replacement, shifting of inmates, all to be determined. But the reality is that everyone is in agreement finally for the first time in the many years that this issue has been going on in our community. Finally, we have agreement that it should be closed.
David, just let me ask you one other question to follow up on that. How concerned are you about the potential jobs in the area? Because, you know, you close this prison, I know there's the other correctional facility in Oneida that's going to be expanding, so they may be able to absorb some of those jobs, but not everyone's going to be willing to move. Also, when you announce that the prison's going to close, how do you keep up staffing? Staffing's already an issue, and people might not want to work at a place that they know the job might disappear in a year, 2 years, whatever that may be.
That was a top concern that Ben Franklin and I talked about after this announcement. And so first of all, I don't think there's a single employee, one of the 300 to 350 that are there now, who is not aware that this has been a stir hanging out and over that building in their employment. So there's awareness of this. None of this is a surprise to even those who are there. However, this has to be appropriately addressed. We can't all of a sudden run downstream here to a point that we don't have proper staffing right up to the end. So Representative Frank and I are going to make that a priority, and I think some of that's going to mean we're going to have to create some incentives, financial, to keep those workers there up until the end. And I know Representative Franklin, I'm sure he has some openness to that. I certainly am in favor of it. But we have to keep that place fully functioning. We are housing people. And we don't have an opportunity to take the weekend off, take the night off. And so maintaining the staffing levels will be a necessary part right up to the last day that door is closed.
How do you see this shaking out? Are Republicans just going to write their own version of closing the prison and everything that needs to be done to reform corrections? Or do you think you'll take Governor Evers' proposal and just kind of tweak it?
I'm hopeful we'll do some tweaking. I think when you look at his proposal, you'll see that it is very consistent with what the engineering firms have said as one of the options versus a new prison. They have said, listen, you can do some expansions at other facilities. It's kind of complex. There's a lot of shifting of people and transitioning a type 2 to a type 1, a lot of changes. But it's all very feasible. Now, with that said, there may be a belief that, hey, if we want to make sure we have long-term capacity, and I'm talking 70, 80 years into the future, maybe the best decision is to build a new replacement facility elsewhere outside of Brown County. I'm open to that. I'm open to that discussion. And so the path is yet undetermined. And I can tell you this, that this has only been 2 days old, this news, and there are already dozens of legislators who are having those conversations. Which way are we going to go with this? Do we take it wholesale? Do we make some adjustments? Do we throw it out entirely? All those discussions are happening until we have an opportunity as an Assembly caucus and then a Senate caucus to get together, make some collective decisions. It will remain unclear. However, what is not unclear is that GBCI will be closed. And the date is not certain, whether it's going to be 2029, 2031, and whether that's going to involve a new prison or retrofitting existing facilities. But make no mistake that GBCI is now on a path to complete and total closure.
Why did you throw out 2031? Is that the date Republicans are targeting, or is that just some random date?
It's not a random date. So 2029 is the targeted date for last operation at GBCI, with a possibility of that extending to 2031. Additionally, 2031 means 2 more years of discussion and budget allocation within our process. I can tell you that it takes roughly 4 years to build a new prison or to do some of these projects. And so by saying it's going to be 4 years or 6, what I'm trying to provide is there may be a 2-part solution here that involves 2 different budgets. I don't know that for fact. I don't know that for sure. But everyone should expect this to happen. It's whether it's going to be in 4 years or 6. Either way, it's going to be happening in a time frame that finally provides resolution to this issue. Every single year we keep that facility open, we are extending the liability that is associated in hovering over the people of Wisconsin's tax dollars. Further, the expenses keep on getting higher. So we are taking positive steps today. And we are taking positive steps during this 4 to 5 month budget process. And so we should all be recognizing that the announcement was made, rough ideas were provided, and there's a lot of good there. So that's where I'm focused my efforts. And now for the next 4 months, Representative Franklin and myself are going to be working with our colleagues down in Masson in the Assembly and Senate to ensure that we come to some sort of agreement on what the next step's going to look like and what we're going to be offering back to the governor.
your understanding under the governor's plan that all of the state's maximum security prisoners will then go to Portage and Dodge? And if so, is that feasible?
Portage, Dodge, as well as changing Lincoln Hills from a maximum security juvenile facility to making it a maximum security adult facility. So the juveniles that are currently there or have been there would be transitioned out, and transitioning that facility, which is still in good shape. There's been a lot of consternation and certainly controversy surrounding Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake, but the structural elements, the brick and mortar of those facilities is still sound, which is contrary to what we have at GBCI. So it is still a functional facility that can be used for its correctional purposes.
Lincoln Hills would go maximum?
Lincoln Hills would go maximum adult. Same level of security, it has the same level of security certification as GBCI. It's just been used for juvenile males at this point.
That 90-minute presentation you said on Saturday, what specifically did you hear that you had a problem with?
Very little that I had a significant problem with. However, there is an issue that I think has to be fully evaluated. One of the things the governor wants to do is increase the number of individuals who are going through our early release program. The early release program is an existing system. It's existed for well over 20 years, maybe longer, and the governor wants to provide additional funding to that specific program so that the backlog that exists can be relieved. The backlog of individuals who are eligible for early release but have not yet gone through the program is roughly 2,500 people. And so by relieving that choke point, it is his belief that that's an opportunity to address some of the capacity issues. Now, that's going to be of debate and concern within our caucus because that is going to increase the number of former inmates going back into the community. Now, again, every single person is still eligible under the program. It's just they're going through the program pace that is expected and anticipated. So those are where I think we're going to have the largest issue, and it's something that I need to learn more about, our early release program, how it works, the eligibility. So it's one of the reasons why I'm not saying I'm 100% for the governor's program. I need to understand a little bit about how those policies work. My work over the last 8 years has been on buildings and beds and less about some of the programmatic elements that are involved at GBCI as well as the other prison systems. So from that perspective, it was an easy math thing to say that GBCI needs to be closed because I know how to read an engineering report, and when it tells you it's time to close a building, you got to close it. So that was a long answer to your question, Ben.
Is it more about beefing up staffing to get more people through that program, or was there any talk of easing eligibility requirements?
So in the briefing, no easing of eligibility. And that's why I want to see the details. Is in fact that what's part of this? If the eligibility remains the same, and all it is increasing staffing to address a backlog, that will be an easier sell within our caucus. However, it's still not an easy one. So I'm remaining open-minded throughout this debate and early portion because I want to focus on what we've achieved even as of today. And so I am focusing on the fact that we finally have a governor who's putting it into his budget to close GBCI and indicating that that is no longer a safe, stable, sustainable location for us to be housing 1,000 men. And that is a critical step. And so some of those policies are going to be debated. I'm hopeful we can find our way through that with the governor. Again, I don't expect it to be returned as is to the governor. There will be changes. There will be our own fingerprints on that. So, but it's still moving in the right direction. We're finally having this debate at the right time in terms of the budget process. Anything else for these gentlemen? Well, if there is anything more for us collectively, if any of you want to do one-on-ones, we'll be sticking around, of course, to be available. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. I got 2 mics. How'd that happen?
I know. That's the Channel 5 and myself. Yep,